The light that we see in the universe from stars and galaxies is sort of like, you know, jewels set on a dark velvet backdrop, and there's this churning sea of dark matter. It's such a big question, the biggest unanswered question in astronomy, astrophysics. Well, what is the dark matter?
For University of Arizona astronomer Chris Impey, the beauty of the universe first revealed itself through physics. Growing up in misty Scotland gave him little chance to view stars.
And I realized that astronomy was one of those kind of freewheeling subjects where individuals could still do their own experiments, where the big questions were still unanswered. And so you have to place a bet on a question that you think you can answer reasonably. The truth is, in your darker moments and when you wake up in the middle of the night and when you're being totally honest, you recognize in astronomy that, yeah, we don't know very simple things, what the universe is made of, you know, what the Big Bang was really like, whether there's life beyond the Earth, really basic questions. Only 4 out of about 250 people thought that there are no questions that science won't answer.
He is a highly regarded researcher who has been recognized all across campus for his teaching.
His lectures are always fresh, they're always new. Chris is fantastic in terms of the dedication that he puts into his teaching and the dedication that he puts into his research.
Levels of the atom are not continuous and cannot take any value.
Chris has a small grant to develop wireless web-based teaching applications that will access network grids in such areas as the Integrated Learning Center.
Chris has seized the new technology far more than anybody else in this department. And no disgrace to them, but Chris has seized it, spanked it, made it behave, and amplified on what can be done.
Each new incoming class of freshmen is more web savvy, more wirelessly connected than last year's. So they're completely ready and receptive for anything you can try. I've not been able to dream up an experiment of technology or computers in education that wasn't just absorbed by students like a sponge.
But it isn't just new technology that motivates Chris. He looks for ways to engage his students through innovative teaching as well.
We're kind of assuming it's going to go from 2 to 4 right, but the homework's due on Thursday, so we're going to get swamped.
The preceptor program is an excellent way of expanding the teaching team in one of these large lecture classes. You get to bring on board a set of a dozen or so students who are students in the class themselves, where a student in the class can now go to see someone who's just like them, who's wrestled with the material like they have, who's maybe a bit scared of the math like they are, who's a freshman like they are. And so if I toss a photon and give Brooke energy, she has to respond appropriately. And as more and more photons come in, you're going to be sort of being pushed up the room.
I actually think we don't have one guy. I think we have a number of clones that collaborate periodically.
Always has time for his friends, always has time for his students and his, you know, the researchers that he works with.
And he has, I think, a lot of respect for keeping a balanced life, which you don't always find among astronomers.
Staying relaxed, keeping a perspective. There's a lot of competition and pressure. It's low level, it's low key, but you're sort of swimming in an amniotic fluid of high octane academic fuel, and it always has an effect. You know, if you love your family and care about the people you live with, you'll give them time, you'll give them attention, you'll be interested in their interests, and it takes you out of your little closed world of astronomy.
Researcher, teacher, they are but two sides of Chris Impey.
Chris has a fascination with plastic food.
This particular good-looking plastic toast came from the Dallas airport.
And I think he got this on a trip to Japan, where outside all of the restaurants, there are these beautiful presentations of the food that they serve, and they're all plastic.
But I've seen fairly good-looking plastic toast in a number of places.
I told our secretary, who had never been in his office, that she had to come down, and she sat there and she said, you know, I could spend hours here just looking at these things.
Another one of my colleagues used to say, you can see what it looks like in my office, but you should see what it looks like in here.
So that's what we're dealing with. He likes plastic food.